Hi everyone, this is Venus Brown. Today I'm going to be reacting to The Crown, episode 6 called Gelignite. Now I had to look this up because I was like, how is that even pronounced? What does it even mean? So apparently something to do with bombing or ignition or something to that effect. So Gelignite, it sounds like two words. It is written as one word. So Gelignite. Yikes. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you want more content, click subscribe. If you click that little bell and click all, then you'll get more content notifications. Paparazzi. It's like I'm only getting sound from one side most of the time.
Leaving the Abbey on the day of the coronation, I saw her picking a piece of fluff off a man's uniform.
Fluff?
Yes, fluff.
Jesus, Bill, I thought we did serious reporting here.
This is serious. Is a commoner. And, wait for it, a divorced commoner. Historically, when this lot brush up against divorce, you end up with either reformation or abdication.
It's bad for the royal
Church
family,
and state
but
clash again.
What are you doing, man?
Picking fluff off a man's jacket. That's a gesture as intimate as a kiss.
it can be.
No, I'm sorry, Bill, I can't.
But I know some people that are very, like,
Then you decide.
free with their willingness to do personal things around
Make sure it's peppery. Make sure
people
it
they
pops.
don't know that
Yes,
well.
sir.
Picking a little fluff off somebody's lapel can be very non-personal.
What, Peter? Yes, Peter. What does that mean, oh? Nothing.
Hadn't you noticed it before?
There's something we'd like to
thought
discuss with you. Oh, there you go again.
their closeness.
Buckingham Palace, clear. Victoria 4832.
Hold the line.
That switch patch panel thing there with the phone calls. I'm glad that it's not that complicating anymore. I know that there's a variety of things like that occur with technology that create the situation where certain people end up out of jobs and everything. But I feel like the economy ends up adding other jobs in that help to fill that void a little bit. But anyway, it reminded me that back when I was in the military, I used to go out with this guy who, he didn't work on switch patch panels necessarily, but he worked in the switch vehicle, which their job was mostly transferring calls back and forth, sometimes international calls, sometimes more local, but that was his job. Just reminded me of that.
It'll be such fun.
Such fun.
Lovely.
Unfortunately, your loveliness is about to run out, I think. It's been a while since I've watched the early episodes, but I remember broad things here and there. And my memory is not great. I have some short-term memory problems, so it's difficult for me to retain things that I haven't seen a few times or haven't, that my brain hasn't accessed multiple times.
Writing, what does it say?
Death to the imperialists.
Death to the infidels. I do think we have to be careful with some of that stuff, though, because we get told certain things by the media, by just random people who think they know better, that sometimes turn out to be misrepresentations, misunderstandings of language, of religious ideas, stories, things like that. So we have to be careful with that, because there was definitely, back when 9/11 happened, there was a lot of stuff that was spread all over the place about how awful Islam is and how awful their religion and everyone in their culture is and all this other stuff. And some of that stuff was really based off pulling what you want to believe and make broad sweeping assumptions about entire groups of people, about an entire religion, about an entire language, about any number of things by just taking that little teeny piece and ignoring all the rest, or not ever learning about all the rest. Our ignorance can be just as hateful and hurtful and dangerous as our intentionally being hateful, hurtful, and dangerous. So it's important to keep that in mind. I don't actually know anything about what was actually written there, and I don't know anything about that particular person's knowledge of the language. I will just take what he said with a grain of salt for now. But we know that there can be very, very dangerous people out there, and some of the stuff that is said is of serious concern. So you got to take it both ways. Grain of salt. Need to learn more information about it, get, the background and context of it, and keep in mind that not everybody you hear, even when you think they are professionals, even when you think they're authority figures on the issue, not everything you hear from them is going to be accurate.
But no, that would interest you. It's a lunch club with just men.
Talking about women.
No. Yes, a little bit about the fairer sex over coffee and the odd brandy. What do you expect? It's a gentleman's lunch club.
And that's why she said what she said, because it's a gentleman's lunch club.
Can you just leave it? Thank you.
Oh boy.
And we reached a decision in April, wasn't it? Just before the coronation. We wanted to, well, you know.
Mary?
Yes.
Goodness.
Pretty sure she's not against it right this very
suppose it better be Philip
second
now.
completely. I think it was later on after speaking to people, like with everything else, people want to turn her down for pretty much everything that like to keep comfortable.
That was 17 years ago. The world has changed.
Well, the rest of the world has. Nothing changes in the court of St. James.
Besides, we have a son and heir. There's no realistic prospect of Margaret becoming queen. One can see the attraction.
In Peter.
Yes. It's a handsome war
Because
hero.
you don't see it doesn't mean that
Divorced.
nobody does. It's just another one of those things that I feel like the royal family could have found a better way to deal with the problem, because what they did caused significantly worse problems later on down the road. She is not an immediate heir. Sure, there's this very, very slim chance that at some point in time, if just the wrong things happen, she might end up being in a position where she could be heir, but it's really not very likely. They already have all that bad blood with the previous relative. He was in a very high up position, abdicating from the throne, which causes a whole plethora of other problems. She's not. Yes, she is the queen's sister, which is very, very sticky. But, God, it's just, and I know, using hindsight to judge these kinds of things maybe isn't the smartest thing, but still need to learn from your history and the things that have happened in the past. They already have that situation with what happened in the past. And like she said, it was 17 years ago. Like at some point, maybe we need to let things go a little bit. Yeah, nothing in the royal family ever changes what he had said, but it's not going to change. Continuing to deal with things like this in exactly the same way. Some people don't want those things to ever change. They feel that you have to keep them the same in order to keep the royal family stable and all of that. But God, no, I think some things need to change. Of course, I am progressive, and I'm not progressive for no reason. I think progress is important, even in the royal family, even in religion, even in politics. Progress is important.
This is Gelignite.
I know.
Gelignite. So explosive.
When they invited television into the coronation.
That was their right. And a huge concession.
To what?
Popular interest.
The other guy's right there.
Ourselves is, do
They
we let
made
ourselves be
big
used,
concessions
or do we
to
have our
allow
own
that to
independent
happen.
voice?
You
Don't
start
get modest.
trampling on them like
we
that,
don't break the story,
and those
do you think no
concessions
one
are going to
else
be
will?
taken away,
I
and they're
know
not going
there's
to
plenty of
allow
others
it
sniffing
anymore.
around it, sir.
Think about what you're doing. If you want concessions like that to occur, you need to have a relationship.
Well, thank you for letting me
Give
know.
and take.
Of course, Tommy. Thank you
Not
for
a
understanding.
take and take and take
I'm sorry.
and take.
No, I'm sorry.
And all the problems they cause by doing this. I can't say they cause, like, they contribute to a lot of problems because of this. More than already exists with her.
Your Majesty, a story is about to break in the press, identifying Peter Townsend not just as the companion of Princess Margaret, but as her likely future husband. We understand that the paper is to feature a profile of Group Captain Townsend, details of his marriage.
That face.
Marriage isn't regarded as a sacrament in the Church of Scotland. It's not as binding in the same way as here.
Meaning we could even get married in a church.
Well, I'd have to check, but I think so.
That would be so lovely. Much.
Might have wanted to go check
Sorry,
on that.
Lilibet.
What for?
I think you're going to get a visit from Mummy about all this.
Or did a lot of them not know how much their mother was actually involved in some of these decisions? It's less than comfortable, somewhat controversial decisions.
I am a
And
mother
this
of
is
two
my
daughters
background
whom I
this
love
time.
equally. It seems that they each have problems of equal size. Obviously, we want Margaret to be happy and have the man she wants.
Yes.
Obviously, yet you do
We
nothing to make
must
her
do
happy.
everything in our power to protect you as queen and as a sister.
Protect me from what? I've given Margaret my word, and I'm determined to support her.
Popularity
It'll
for
be a scandal
long-term
either way.
security.
You blocking the marriage is a
Your
scandal
uncle's
as
affair
well.
and
An abdication is not the same thing as the Queen's sister marrying divorced commoner.
It's the only way to contain the story, ma'am.
Nothing you do is going to contain the story. It is not contained.
Why did you even dangle Scotland under my nose?
Because she thought it was an option.
Sorry.
Same reason she dangles everything under everyone else's nose that she does. Don't remember what
We ought to head
caused
back.
things to get so bad, because she seems to be
No,
like
wait.
kind of reserved that this,
Kiss me.
you know, is just the way it's going to be for a while. But I know she ends up like really going the wrong way after something happens, but I don't remember what the heck it is.
No, I cared for him as long as he did his job and knew his place.
And my father held him in high regard. Sending him away will break my sister's heart.
Hearts mend.
Not always,
Was there anything
dumbass.
else?
I had hoped the detention of Margaret and Peter would fade away.
And it will
I could barely hear
eventually,
myself
if you
speak
let
today.
it fucking
The
go.
solution is an times best intentions need to be reconsidered, Your Majesty. You can always blame it on me.
Let's wait 24 hours. Things might calm down tomorrow.
Special
You
arrangements
expect it
welcome.
to go away that fast? No, it ain't going to, but you have some fucking realism.
She gets some practice dealing badly with other problems that are going to happen in the future.
Alright, I had to stop recording for a little while. I had to go outside to trim some branches on the tree, so if you see any speckles, it's from sawdust off the tree, because it's getting ready to rain, and I couldn't do it after it rains, so.
500,000 people. Thanks to the coronation, your sister is now the most famous woman in the world.
Yes.
Grumpy old men.
For the people of Northern
And I know it's not just grumpy old men, but let's be clear here. When there is a system in place, everybody is built into that system, including the minorities who are oppressed by it. Yes, I'm talking about women. I'm talking about all the other nations and countries that are controlled by this stuff also. Like Ireland.
Take care of it, Tommy. In whatever manner you see fit.
Brussels leaves in just under 3 hours. There was some concern that that might not give you enough time, but I felt sure that as a military man, packing quickly and unsentimentally would come as second nature to you.
As a military woman, the idea that sentiment would be released from that whole arrangement is nonsense. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what preceded this downfall.
I would advise you not to reprehend us for that. Such an act could backfire.
Yes, it does.
A white community, surrounded by primitive Africans, grew into a young and flourishing nation. Great this land could become once civilized.
All that colonizing language.
I wish
We
continued
got plenty of it
prosperity.
here too. And while the words themselves might change, the language that's being conveyed really does not. One of the audiobooks I've been listening to is The Handmaid's Tale, just because I want to get kind of a fresher memory on what happened in the book and compare it to the similarities and discrepancies between it and the show. One of the things that the lead character brought up was this idea of killing something, and she said that before she had left her home, trying to escape the regime that was taking over everything, they realized that they had forgotten about the cat, and that the cat was not going to be brought with them. It would draw too much attention to them. They wouldn't be able to leave it outside the house because that would draw too much attention. Luke said he would take care of it, and she specified that he didn't say he would take care of her. He said he would take care of it, and she knew what that meant. That meant that he was going to kill the cat. And she said something like, I guess that's how you do it. You have to change it in your mind to an it. You have to prepare that in your mind, get used to it, so that you can engage in the act of killing a thing. That's kind of what some of that reminds me of. Her use of the word primitive. Their insistence that these cultures were primitive and that they were making things better basically took over another people's lives, their country, made it into something completely different based on their views of what normal is. But how do you do that? How do you do that to a culture, to a country? Change it to an it. Certain people, you transform them to things, objects. There's a professor who talks a little bit about this kind of cognitive dissonance, using these kinds of methods in order to dehumanize a person so that you can do all sorts of things to them without really feeling all that guilty within yourself about it. And I will try to find a link to one of her videos. She does have some very long videos, but I'll try to make it a fairly short video so you can get just a little hint of how she talks and what she's talking about. And I'll try to make sure that it has that specific topic in it.
Margaret.
You gave me your word. Promise me you'd still be there when I got back.
I did.
Why you seem to sent away?
banished like some criminal. Things got out of hand. You failed to protect me. I will fail to protect you in return.
Margaret.
You reap what you sow, sister.
Say that any man, once divorced, is fully entitled to marry again. If those laws are good enough for England, they are good enough for the royal family.
I know. Going to an end. Can that veneration be sustained in the light of the royal family's cruelty to its very own members?
However, to survive the clear proof that it is insensate, cruel.
Treatment of her sister has now jeopardized the future of the monarchy in Britain. In 48 hours it would have passed. If you were lucky.
I fear it'll take longer than that for Margaret to forgive me.
Or perfectly innocent.
Until next time, I'll see you when I see you. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you want more content, click subscribe. If you click that little bell and click all, then you'll get more content notifications.